Hey guys, welcome back. We've got a little over a month before the playoffs start, which is just
Gosh,
incredible, incredible to
insane.
think about. A lot of topics today, very busy. Good basketball. I was really happy with the Bulls destroying the Pacers yesterday. I did
Really?
not have
Oh,
that on my
right.
bucket list. So,
I didn't
um,
see that.
very. I mean, there was no reason to see it when you saw the matchup compared to other ones on there, but um, I've been very impressed from what I've seen. So I'm still battling back from a sore throat that started Thursday last week.
Jeez.
Almost there, but we'll get there. It's allergy season. So Diego, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I mean, the Mavs aren't doing too great, but overall, we kind of won last night, so that's kind of a dub. But overall, not doing too bad. Pretty chill. Yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah, I mean the past few days I've been paying attention to the free agency news from the
Oh,
NFL,
yeah.
and I'm like so happy as a Bears fan. Like this is the best thing I could have hoped for. They finally addressed what they needed to and what they should have like a season or two ago, and now they're doing it. So I've been really happy. Let's start with the NBA. There's an article I read on Athletic about like NBA flopping violations, which was huge, huge. Like starting from like the Mavericks and the Thunder series in last year's semifinal, and you kind of saw it sprinkle throughout the playoffs and how teams would get certain calls and what it would lead to the demonstrative attempts. So, looking at this year, like flopping calls are actually down from a season ago, and there's a system that the league uses to like kind of designate whether it calls like flopping and they need to assess the technical foul. So, uh, I wanted to explain through that, and
Oh,
it's been pretty effective. So, like flopping has it's really subjective term. It's kind of
mm,
dependent on like what people determine what it is. So that's what makes it hard to just call it.
yeah.
Um, but like in the past, the NBA came up with like an enforcement like technical foul that's whistled on the spot and a $2,000 fine if they didn't make
Jeez.
that call after the fact for a game. So this would fall on the same lines as like delay of game or hanging on the rim. Um, they do not count like in your two technical fouls that lead to ejections. So
Oh,
um, that's a good part. But
yeah.
there's only been like in the first half in the first half of the season there was like eight flopping fines handed out in the first week and then
Mm,
22 overall in the first half. But the amount of flopping calls after February 1st, which is just a little before All-Star break,
yeah.
four, which is really, really impressive. So, but in the 2024-2025, like entire season,
Yeah.
there's been almost no fines. There's five flopping calls the entire season. The entire season compared to like
Wow.
maybe what are we looking at? 36 the year before.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, although there was a spiking of calls in the first week of the season, spiking is a loose term to put it because
Yeah.
being five overall. Um, yeah, it's been pretty good to see. So the system they use, I'm gonna quit alluding to it and just say it. It's called STEM, and the criteria is
Stem.
called secondary theatrical exaggerated movements. So obviously, as a defender, you have a set reaction if somebody bumps into you.
Mm-hmm.
Probably it's like move back, whatnot. But if you move back a couple feet, then decide to roll over or like
Yeah.
move back, like your reaction is like very extreme compared to the contact applied to you, you
Mm-hmm.
can be called for a flopping charge. So, um, yeah, there's multiple I can send over to you to highlight my example, but basically it's like if you get rolled up on, you're not rolling over like five, six, seven times, which
Yeah.
is like, okay, dude, you're just trying to make a show of this. Or it's um like to the extent where you're paying attention to the player long after the ball is like switched over. So um I think it's a good system. I think paying attention to the secondary reactions has like really set the criteria and the standard down. I've been looking for the officials to place a consistent system
Hmm.
in place that to enforce so that so that teams can plan and adjust for it rather than having this like very vague standard on like what's flopping and what's not, and then suddenly you're trying to guess, right? And then you're trying to like toe this imaginary line, but you don't know where the line is, so you just get called randomly, and that kind of affects your momentum. So I just thought that was helpful to share. Wanted to get your thoughts on what you thought about um, like all the flopping stats and like this entire system and its effect.
Yeah, I had no idea there was a system, but I like the acronym. I'm a big organization acronym guy. Definitely not opposed to stuff like that. But it's definitely a good idea because that's something you've seen so much where a player will maybe validly like react in a way like, oh, move back, but then after he'll kind of like jump back and make it look like he seriously got injured and whatnot, or hurt or moved in that kind of way. But that's definitely not the case. So that's a good way to crack that. And I think a big thing is just in general. Um, did you say like, well, I don't know if you had the stat, but like I remember after the All Star break last year, the NBA kind of made a point to let games go on a little bit more, not be as ticky tack with the fouls, and that was a big reason that a lot of people that not viewership, but a lot of people, other like bigger analysis guys, podcast guys, were saying, "Oh, this is a lot better of a product here because it's more just a game, not oh that was a really weak foul and then free throws and whatnot started the game." And I think that has a little bit to do with it is that once guys realize, oh man, this kind of they're not calling anything like they used to, any little touch, it might not be as worth it to flop around like a fish and stuff like that. So I think it's a big that could be part of it, and that's good because that was one thing I hated, especially from James Harden. He's kind of the originator of the kind of oh yeah, let me get in front of you, jump as if I'm shooting while you're behind me, and you jump into me, and I like make it look like it's a foul. There's even this meme of this post I saw where it's like how SGA gets fouls. It was just like a car, like you're in a car, and it's just a car just like swerving in front of you and stopping, and then you hit the car, and I was like, I mean, that's not untrue, um, but it's also kind of more strategic on his end. It's not as bad
Yeah,
as
and
like
I mean, it's not just SGA and Harden too. It's
no,
become
yeah,
like a standard where like people are just trying to draw the foul instead
mm-hmm.
of just trying to make the shot. And if you get fouled, it's an added bonus. And
Yeah,
people would just start acting. So they needed to do something about this. I think the officials catching on to like how players are like faking to draw fouls versus like
mm-hmm.
genuinely getting hit in contact where the defender is getting away with contact in
Yeah,
some situations. That's been very, very good. To see stats like this and like the players adjusting to be like, oh, the officials are playing no games, and they're
yeah,
not like complaining every other possession on this rule in particular is good to see. Where they don't
mm-hmm.
have to enforce it as much. I think they've stumbled upon a really great like system. Now, Luka's on the Lakers. The Lakers are number 2 right now, and Dort is on the Thunder. They're the number 1 seed. So like
Okay,
I think their antics is not going away. You're gonna see this like in the playoffs at some point. How they choose to handle it remains to be seen to like fully vet out the system, but
mm-hmm.
I have full confidence with like where this is headed that like they stumbled upon something that's like a consistent way to judge like is this flopping or is this not? Because this is a
Yeah.
start for like making good or bad calls like more systematic. So I think you got to start somewhere, and this is really helpful to see.
Yep, and I think the NBA kind of started with that when they implemented. Was it a? I think it was. It's a technical foul now where say if you jump on a shoot a 3-pointer and stick your leg out
Right.
to have the guy closing out hit you,
Yeah.
that's a technical or whatnot, some sort of more serious foul than you might think it should be besides a common foul. And so it's a good step, just not. And in that case, there's some training to be done because, like, say Spencer Dinwiddie kind of moves his hips a certain way when he shoots and kind of juts that leg out normally.
Like it's a natural part of a shooting motion.
No, like that's what he always does, right? And
Right.
So then you have to kind of know the players you're watching, like even a little bit of scouting, which is kind of funny to say for the refs, but it's true. So it's all like new things in this game. I mean, the game is ever evolving and changing, and I think that's one thing that I love about basketball is the basketball I started watching that got me into basketball is not what we're watching today. Although it had little remnants, little indicators that we get there, but yeah, the game's always changing, and the refs have to change with it. So the NBA is working hard for that, and that's great. So good.
Yeah.
I thank you for this enlightenment. I did not know anything about this STEM system.
You're welcome. Glad I could enlighten you, my friend.
Yes, I am enlightened.
Okay. I am also enlightened when watching the Bulls past couple games. That was
Yeah, man.
I've been very happy in what I've seen. They're gonna go to the finals. They're gonna destroy the Cavs once they get out of the
Sure.
play-in.
Yes.
It's
Let's
been
do it.
amazing. Had an 18-point trouncing yesterday against the
Gosh,
Pacers.
what a
Beat the
word.
Miami Heat handily. Josh Giddey, who hit a dagger three against the Heat. Shame he got injured, but he was too shy away of his career high, 29 points, shooting better from 3-point range than he's had in previous seasons. He's been just completely unstoppable, even though he's not like the most shiftiest guard.
Yeah.
And I think when defenders play him, they're like, "Oh, okay, he's not that athletic or like shifty at all. Like
Mm-hmm.
he still is getting to the same spots, and he has a little bit of shiftiness to him, where it's like it's just enough where you can go downhill. Like he could split a pick and roll. Like
Oh yeah.
he can get to like a dotted area of the court, like in the paint, where like earlier in the season he's like taking inefficient shots between like the 3-point range and the key. Like so
Mm-hmm.
like mid range, but it wasn't exactly like a mid range jumper because it's kind of like a upper mid range floater, which is not
Yeah.
the best location to take your floaters. So um he was doing that the first half of the season. And this season he's figured it out. Like one of my friends who I was hanging out with, he's like, with the way Josh Giddey's played, like after the All-Star break, I'll pull up the stats here.
Okay.
He's averaging 23.1 points, 10.9 rebounds, and 8.4
Jeez.
assists in
Ooh.
35 minutes. In 35
Wow.
minutes.
That's pretty insane.
He is almost hitting triple doubles on average. And my friend was like, "Do you think Josh Giddey, being that he's what, 23, could end up ending his career top 10 in triple doubles?"
God, that's a spicy take. I like that take, and I think especially because I think I don't know exactly. I think the Levine trade happened the weekend before the deadline. So say that was that was you said after those stats were after the All Star break, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. Now who has the ball? I mean, Kobe White's there, but I don't think he gets the ball as much as Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey is at his best when he has the ball and he's just doing whatever he wants with it.
Right.
And the fact that Levine is gone, no one is really above him on the pecking order, and now he gets to cook. And yeah, that's really exciting. I love that take, man. And I think like it's literally a Ben Simmons situation where
But efficiency stats wise,
ooh,
52.2% from the field,
okay,
52.5% from the 3-point line. He's
interesting.
taking 4 attempts too, so he's taking a
Yeah,
substantial amount.
wow, never
And
mind.
86.5 from the 3-foot line.
That's insane.
Ben
That's
Simmons is not putting up those stats, my brother.
I mean, yeah, he's not putting up the. Actually, yeah, he's probably not putting. Ben Simmons is on the Clippers, if anyone was curious. But moving on, yes, those are some crazy stats. Um, I was not. I knew he was making some threes. I didn't think 50% on 4 attempts is kind of insane. I mean,
This is all after the All-Star break, not
mm,
over the entire season. Obviously, he'd probably be the best shooter in the league with those stats. But
no, that's pretty wild. I think I'm excited. I'm excited to see what that can bring. But the Bulls are also in like a weird spot, right? Are you tanking? Are you? What do
they're
you
in the
think?
worst possible spot you can be in.
I think
They're
it's
the
like
last seed in the playing game. They have no shot at the lottery. They have no shot in like being an upside card against the Cavaliers and the Celtics.
no, yeah.
Like, and they traded away their best players while getting minimal return.
This is not untrue. I think a big thing is just like it feels like you're right on the cusp of getting to that like getting rid of like losing DeRozan, getting rid of Levine like in a trade. Like these are things I think are like we're like inching. You're like almost there to being
But we still have
full.
Vucevic. That's
Yeah, I
the
know. That's
problem.
the next thing. That's the next thing. And I think it might just be in the summer where it's like, okay, you make your move and then you're off and running. But yeah, it's just weird. I know what's it called, the I don't know where I heard it, but like basically they're just like, I don't, this podcast, these analysts are just like, I don't trust like Arturus or the front office to do anything right for this team after the like past few years. Like everything went so well, and then it took so long to pivot out, and you're still mid pivot, and it's just, yeah. So who knows? Who knows what will happen? But yeah, you're getting there. I think in
I
mid
mean,
mid
Zach Collins is
startup.
outplaying Vucevic. He's playing better than Vucevic.
Not
I
surprised.
could I could have said the same thing about Drummond last year. He was phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
Like it's Trey Jones playing pretty well, Kevin Herter giving you solid minutes. Like they have
yep,
a well-rounded bench now, but they don't have the top end talent. They either have one or the other. So now it's just like, okay, Patrick Williams, how long are you going to be patient with him? I err on the caution, just have him keep developing. I know you sent a contract to him. You're
mm-hmm.
tempted to trade him based on him disappointing, but he's been injured. He's just been getting back. And then you have him, Kobe White, Io, Giddy. Don't
Right.
touch those guys. Don't
No,
touch those guys. Buzelis has shown a lot of flashes, but a lot of boneheaded plays at times where
yeah,
like he's just throwing like balls back to the point guard, but he'll like overpass it, so then he passes it behind the backcourt, like for no reason
yeah,
on man of possessions. But he has the flashiness for like dunks and explosive drives, so you see the talent there. Um, so he's just got to play within himself. So you got like five guys you could roll with. Now it's just like, okay, how do we build on this talent? Because
yeah.
this is not enough to compete with the Celtics and the Cavs. We know that. You need to have bigs that can play defense. So Vooch doesn't fit that model. You got to
Mm-hmm.
get somebody else
Yeah.
because you might be a playoff team with Vooch, but like, how high is that ceiling? If it's not that high, why do you have him on the lineup? You know?
No, true. I think especially, I think it might have a thing to do with just Vucevic might just want to always be a starter and get those minutes. That's something that I've kind of thought about with Clay. Is just like, Clay's a great player, but does he really deserve to be a starter on the Mavericks
Right.
when we were at our peak or whatever? But
I would gladly love a Nas Reed, Trey Murphy,
holy moly,
or Cameron Johnson, like in a trade deal. Like you need to get guys like these
mm-hmm.
and continue to try and find those stars because they're like the epitome role players of what you need. You know, so Nas Reed, especially for like the Bulls situation, would be perfect. That would be perfect
You would,
because he could play five, he could play four, he can defend
yeah,
really well. Like I doubt you can get out of bio because he's gonna have a
man.
way too high asking price.
He's locked in. He's locked
Yeah.
into the Heat.
The
And then,
problem is you gotta find a center that can defend. You
mm,
really gotta do it. And maybe it's like Mike Williams from the Hornets. If you can somehow get him. But until then it's gonna be really tough.
yeah, it's very interesting. So, Bulls an interesting spot. Josh Giddey though, buy stock now.
Yeah,
I
100%.
will go to the imaginary NBA stock market and buy some right now.
Okay. You should also buy into the Lakers stock. Maybe not after I mean, maybe especially after yesterday, because maybe people are down on them again with their loss to the Nets. I want you to talk about the Lakers and what you've seen as you track progress as I get a light up going here.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, you got two straight losses, one both on the road. Big thing to say. To first, the Celtics, reigning champions, fine, whatever, that happens. But then you also lose to the Brooklyn Nets. Granted, again, in Brooklyn, but without LeBron after the injury to him in the Celtics game, this is just very interesting. I think, and at first, like I was thinking, like, oh man, the Lakers are flopping. This is so bad for them. But also, there's no Jackson Hayes. I don't think no Rui Hachimura is playing because he's injured as well. So the Lakers are having their own mini kind of debacle over there with injuries. So very interesting for them. But I think listening to a bit of the JJ Redick interview last night, he's just like, he was saying, they just gambled 20 times and we were just caught ball watching. We just had to play so much better and more focused and XYZ. And that could be part of it, but also the fact that you don't have LeBron, you don't have big playmakers like that. You don't have your center, your only center. And I know Alex Len isn't getting any minutes, so it's definitely a weird stretch. But this is a point that the Lakers haven't been in in 5 years, maybe. I mean, the Lakers have never been this high of a seed this close to the end of the season since they won the championship as the first seed in 2020. So I'm very intrigued. Like I'm very intrigued what they could do, but also this is a time where LeBron has this injury, but now you can kind of say, yeah, we have some time. We can kind of not slow it down, but we can afford to have these injuries and have a little bit of a slip because you have some space between you and the play-in. So not terrible, not the end of the world, losing a few games, but definitely interesting for the Lakers and what they could do and how Luca still fits into this. And Luca Austin Reeves, how does that matchup kind of work? Those two guys. There might be a game in the playoffs if they get forward. That's going to be the case. How are they going to deal with that? And that's it's a big thing. So hopefully they can get that locked in.
I think the big thing is like Breeze has shown flashes, Hachimura too. But
Yeah,
in this game specifically, when you're up by as many as 15 points and you hold the
yeah,
Brooklyn Nets to 16 points on 31.6% shooting, you kind of expect that to kind of set the tone.
yeah,
And when somebody like JJ Redick says, yeah, we wanted to take shortcuts tonight, and we're running ball screens at half court. We couldn't even pass it to each other. Those are things that are like correctable. So I'm not like too alarmed by that. But at the same time, in this league, you have to be able to pass each other. You have to be able to like win in multiple different ways. And if you're not doing that, they're not going to win. Just ask the Celtics like why they lost to the Warriors. That was the primary reason. They had two guys. They thought they were cocky, where they could beat everybody else, and
mm-hmm.
they didn't play as a team like they were all season, and they lost the championship because of it. So the stuff that Reddick's talking about, as far as like playing as a team and having communication amongst your team, that's super important.
No, for sure. And I think kind of go along with what you're saying. If the other team isn't letting you make passes to your own guys, obviously they're hustling and playing good defense, but it also means you're not like your guys aren't getting in open space. Your guys aren't there as much as they should be. And yeah, you might have more talent, maybe barely a little bit more in this case because you're injured and whatnot. But the other team, no matter how much talent they are than you, no matter anything like that, no matter anything out of your control, the one thing you can't control is how much hustle you're going to give, and you can't let the other team win that battle. I feel like so maybe that played into it as well. So yeah,
I
tough
think the
loss.
super impressive thing was Austin Reeves still had 17 points despite shooting
Mm-hmm.
3 of 14.
God,
I don't know how that happens. How many free throws did he take?
I have no. That's oh my god. He has to hit 11 free throws, right? That's at
That will
least
do it. That will
at
do
most.
it.
Oh, that's just nasty. I'm disgusted. 3 of 4. That's like that feels like just a bad James Harden game in like
That's
2018.
that's what I shoot when I shoot in the wind. Like,
Or
so
the wind sucks.
yeah, I
That's
hate hooping
that's the
outside,
worst.
but I mean, yeah, I'm not panicking too much about this team. Like I've seen Reeves like become the second option when he needs to, and
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Luca like the fact that he acknowledged like, okay, these are my faults in certain areas, like where they have to be better, gives me
Yeah.
confidence that they'll be better. Especially because they are 17-4 coming out of the All Star break, which is like tied for the best record with the Thunder. So like they're doing really really well. There's a reason they're like at in the second seed right now, although half game up over the Grizzlies. So um it's not it's not over, but definitely some championship habits that need to be established as we're nearing the playoffs.
No, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, when talking about championship expectations on the East side, the Milwaukee Bucks looked like they were neck and neck with the Cleveland Cavaliers. It was a great game. Max Strus, leading scorer for the Cavaliers, and they ended up winning against the Bucks for their 14th straight victory. I feel like this is like the third or fourth time the Cavs have been on like a 13, 14 game winning streak, where it's like um, where they scored like 110 points in every single game,
Mm.
and the only other team to do that ever was the Boston Celtics of 1986, where they won a title. So Cavs winning the finals this year. Who knows? We'll see. Giannis scored 30 points. Lillard adding 22 points. Giannis and Lillard are playing out of their minds. Two straight tough losses to the
Yeah.
Magic, and then now to the Cavs. I think what this tells me is like just watching the game, it seemed to be very easy for the Cavs where they just responded to the Bucks every single time with a 3-pointer, and they just hit an absurd amount of threes.
Hmm.
And when you go on a 13-0 run with 8.5 minutes left in the quarter, that pretty much settles the deal. So, um, yeah, what this told me is like when the going gets tough, the Cavs know what to do, and the Bucks do not. Like they're more likely to surrender run than the Cavs. Like the Cavs are done a really good job halting momentum and establishing momentum. And this is the one thing the Bucks don't have right now with the current arrangement on the roster.
Yeah. Yep. And especially, I feel like Bobby Portis might be that guy, that kind of like tough guy, enforcer dude that they have on this team, and he's out with that suspension, so that doesn't help. But man, I mean, bro, the Bucks shot 29% from three, and the Cavs shot 40, and that kind of just tells you that right
And the
there. And
Cavs took 47 threes.
holy moly,
They took
yes!
47 threes.
Oh my gosh,
They went 19 of 47. The Bucks went 9 of 31.
insane.
And fun fact, Milwaukee's 0-9 against the top three teams in the East.
And no one talks about that. They just talk about
Yeah,
the Knicks.
they're a dark sleeper. They have a lot of great players,
Yeah.
but that's a fact you can't ignore. Like especially when you look at a game like this where like it was like 89-84,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Cavs just opened up a 13-0 run. Like
Avalanche.
yeah, when that happens, you know where the problem is. The problem is like in the fourth quarter,
Yeah.
late in the game. What reserved energy do you have? The Bucks got to work on that because that's what's separating them right now from like making a serious run in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like you said, Dame went 1 of 7 from three. That doesn't help. But the Bucks are. I think the Bucks for sure need and would do anything to make sure they're not out of the playoffs in the first round. That's happened 2 straight years, right? Because happened in 23 and 24 for big reason Giannis injury. But I feel like if that happens again this year, it brings up huge questions of what is really going on, what are we doing, how are we going to figure this
And they
out?
make the right choice by trading away Holiday and trying to get Lillard.
I mean, oh
That's a
man,
bit that's a big question,
that
especially
through.
after what the Celtics did
Mm-hmm.
and like what you were hoping to get out of. And I'm a
Yeah,
big Dame fan. I'm a believer in him. I think it's unfair that he's having to face these questions right now. But for the Bucks standpoint in making that decision, that's a
mm-hmm.
valid concern.
Yeah, and I'd agree, just because it's hard to bet on a short as in 6'2", 6'1" and under guard with over 30. And Damian still had some great games, but it's a tough bet to make. And I think it makes me think back to the Joel Embiid tweet right after the Celtics won the championship, where it said, did the Bucks just give the Celtics this
Yeah.
with letting trading Drew to the Blazers, eventually getting him to the Celtics is just wild. Um, so yeah, very very interesting stuff. I think the Bucks are definitely poised to get out of the first round, which I think is big for them.
I don't know about that. I mean, Indiana
Yeah,
suffered they're facing Indiana tonight in a few minutes.
that'll be ooh, that's good.
And currently they're a game apart from each other.
That's
So
true, but
they'll be if the season ended today, they'll be facing each other.
I
After
think
what Indiana did last year, I would not I would not be confident if I were the Bucks, even though you're not facing the top three, that
yeah.
you're gonna get out the first round safely.
Well, I I would also say the Indiana Pacers beat the Bucks because you didn't have Giannis for the whole series. Dame was out for part of the series,
But they
so
don't have Halliburton tonight.
nice. So
They
that
don't.
helps.
Yeah.
Halliburton's been playing better as of late, but I definitely think I like the Bucks in that series a bit more. The Pacers are just, I think they're just a confusing team to me. but I do like Giannis has kind of changed his game to go more mid range, which is I just read a story about that from ESPN today, and it's different, and that's how LeBron kind of has extended his prime. How I mean, KD always shot those kind of shots, but how he has extended his prime as well.
He's
So
gotten really good at the fadeaways and the floaters, like the mid
mhm.
range. Like he's gotten really good at that.
He's made more of them than I think DeMar, Kyrie Irving, and maybe De'Aaron Fox. For sure, the first two names. So
Wow.
big improvement there on his end. Yes. So I think it's an interesting spot to be in if you're a Bucks fan. Uh, yeah, we'll see. Now, if it's against the Pistons, I might be cheering for the Pistons for that first round series. But I think the Pistons hold it here at 6, and who would they play then? The Knicks. Ooh, even more
Maybe
interesting.
facing the Knicks and Pistons would be a fun series to watch.
That would be fun.
Cade,
Really,
Cade and Brunson.
and Jalen Duren, Cade, Cade pick and roll with Jalen Duren to get Karl Anthony Towns. That would literally just be the strat because that's all teams have done is just count it down. Come over here, we'll make you
That would be
dance.
what I would do. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And and that Bucks game already started. Bucks are winning by 2 in the first 47 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, there's like 10 minutes left in the first quarter, man. Anything could happen. But I mean, good start, I guess.
Yeah,
Okay. OKC and Denver. Fun matchups. Last two games. I remember looking at this. I'm like, okay, the Nuggets are not even in the Thunder's class when they got pranced, and then
yeah,
all they did yesterday was beat Oklahoma City by double digits, which
at
has only
home.
happened 3 times this season.
Yeah,
At home. At home. And Jokic, crazy stat lines as always. 35 points on 15 and 20 shooting, 17
God.
rebounds, 8 assists. Can we just
Mm.
give him the fourth MVP already? I'm sorry, Shay. I'm sorry.
Uh,
This is just insane what he's doing.
so in terms of MVP, I do. At first, I like the argument of whoever wins these games is MVP right there, lock it in. Uh, but like kind of going off these two games, it's just like well, they're just two games as well as a whole regular season award. But also, I think, and this is obviously biased, but if LeBron James has only 4 MVPs because of voter fatigue, if Giannis has only two MVPs because of voter fatigue.
Hold on. Derrick Rose deserved his MVP in the 2011 season. Okay, let's
Yeah, I'm
stop
not. I
that
won't
slander
say.
right
I
now.
won't say about that one. Let's say
Okay,
what.
all right. Just making sure. Just making sure.
No, that one was definitely deserved. But just in general, like if voter fatigue is an actual thing and it doesn't apply to Jokic, like come on, and then I
This dude
understand.
put up stats with an ankle and an elbow issue.
No,
Okay,
this is true. This
all
is
right.
true. And I'm not gonna sit here and say Jokic is bad. I will never say Jokic is a bad player. Jokic is for sure the best player in the world. But I think the way Shea's played, the difference he has between Jokic, and then you could bring the argument, but Jokic's team is way worse. His supporting cast is nothing like the OKC Thunder's, but also the OKC Thunder have an average age of 24. So it's very heated debate. And I know on Twitter it's like getting insane where people are like, why can't we just enjoy two guys playing good basketball and not argue about it? Um, it's just a classic people on Twitter not being civil enough to have a regular debate. But I don't know. That for me is the big reason why I want SGA to win. 'Cause I'm just tired of Jokic getting so many MVPs. Like, obviously not a bad thing, but like Embiid got his MVP in there, sprinkled in there. I think SGA deserves one here. So yeah, that's kind of it.
No
But
recap to the game whatsoever, man.
no recap to
But
that. We just went into this whole debate. But
I think the big thing we see in the second game was I didn't watch this, but just reading about it, the Nuggets blitzed SGA a lot more, forcing the
mm,
ball to Isaiah Hardenstein. Is that a strategy that teams employ?
yeah,
Maybe, maybe Hardenstein and Dort beating you is probably, and they can do it. They're certainly capable of doing it. But that might be a better strategy than just have SGA just take like 5 tough contested mid-range
yeah,
jumpers where he's like absolutely swishing every single one of them. That might be better. And like the Nuggets have been notorious for like just throwing different looks at the top teams in the NBA. Michael Malone plays no games as coach, so
Yeah.
like when you see that, like they're trying to see what's gonna work for the playoffs, and to hear Jokic say like we need to give him a different look, um, like he's a historical mid-range player. You don't hear those words come out of Jokic's mouth. So
Mm-hmm.
when he says that, like that the reason why they blitzed him was intentional. So like um if you're able to make Shea pass the ball or like take bad shots somehow, that's a win.
Yeah. And I think big thing to note with that strategy is just Jalen Williams, All Star Jalen Williams. He actually was out of the game, I think, in the second half. So that makes that strategy a lot easier to say, oh yeah, just get the ball out of Shea's hands, make Caruso do something with it, make Lou Dort do something. And some nights they will, but not every night. So just big thing to keep in mind there. And yeah, it's just the big conundrum with the Thunder is after Shea, and then you say Jalen Williams, fine, has a good night, whatever. Who's up after that? Who's gonna do the dirty work every night after that? I don't know. So that's what they have to prove to us, and that's what they're gonna do in the playoffs, hopefully. So
But Russell Westbrook proved to us is when he's subbed in for Aaron Gordon, he can give you 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists.
yeah, was that last
He's
night?
not the triple double, yeah, last night. He's not the triple double maestro that he is right now, but um,
Mm-hmm.
incredible performance. I think he's found his ceiling. Um, the bench has played a lot better with Zeke, Najee.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
Michael Porter doesn't play on the
Jalen
bench,
Pickett.
but his performance and Peyton Watson doing really, really well, playing versatile. That's what matters.
Yeah, yeah. Jalen Pickett
Okay.
made some threes. It's kind of it.
Yeah. Okay. I approached you with a subject this morning, just
Mm-hmm.
to give you a cool idea. I stumbled upon this with friends where there's like a $25 budget. We can kind of create our own lineups. Let me see if I can find it real quick while I'm doing it. Um, it was it was kind of crazy, like how we stumbled upon these lineups here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we got $25 to like develop a $5 lineup. Sorry,
5 man.
five man lineup.
Yeah.
Mixing my words here. I wanted you to share yours that you shared this
Okay, I
morning.
got you.
So just for reference, I'm going to share my screen next week. We'll probably keep this as a recurring series and make this like a draftable format so we don't have the same players because there is a little bit of overlap here. Um, but basically, $25 to pick 5 people. Guys
Mm-hmm.
like SGA, Giannis, Nicola, they all go for $9.
Yeah.
Um, where you have like K going for $6, like Stephen Curry going for $6, Harden $6. So you got $25 to the GM. You got to build a team, and I wanted to see what lineup you brought. Didn't really pay attention to kind of like the ratings. I'm more so on like why you kind of picked the lineup you did. Like, what do you kind of like? What was your philosophy behind it?
Yeah.
Um, and kind of like what are your what are kind of like your red and green flags and like picking an NBA spot. So have at it, my
Yeah.
guy.
So starting my first overall pick in the March 11th, I'm on a Mission Basketball Podcast draft. I picked Shea. And I picked him just because, I mean, in my head, I don't know if I say this enough, I love defense. Shea is just a real two-way player in the sense. And last year I wouldn't have said it as much. But now I'm just like, whatever. Like, Shea's played great enough defense, and his offense is so high, his defense is like above average that it makes it awesome, right? Him as a player. So I had to pick him up. He's $9, lock that in. And then I was like, well, who else would I want? If defense is a big thing, and I obviously don't want to lose offensively, who else? And I was like, who better than Slender Man himself, Victor Wembanyama? I think he was $7. So I'm at $16 with my first two guys. But man, think about the Shea Wemby pick and roll, inverted pick and roll, even for a like Shea pop mid range. God, that's amazing. And the length. I mean, Shea already has like a huge wingspan. He's 6'6" with I don't know like a 6'10" wingspan. Like he's going crazy with that. So that's awesome. So already we got two great defenders. We're locked in. Then all my other guys are $3. I skipped out a little bit, but man, point guard Drew Holiday, climb down defender, guards 1 through 5. He can hit open shots for you. That's kind of all I need when I have two offensive virtuosos on the team. And like he can create, but you don't need it to happen. So I kind of have him here as like maybe even my fourth creator, perhaps. And I kind of like him more as a spot up role. But defensively, our top three guys are clamped down, and I love it. Then I was just looking around. I have like a 1, 2, and a 5. So I need a 3 and 4. Who else do I pick up besides my guy, the Knife, as a DLS, like a Dallas Mavs pod has been saying as of late? They yell it. I didn't want to yell too much in the mic, but Najee Marshall, the Knife. Yes, sorry, rambled a bit there. And obviously, good defender. I looked up on this website later because I got bored at work. He's 6'5 3/4, and his wingspan is 7 feet and 3/4. That's insane. That's like +7 wingspan. So that's awesome. And he's just a very interesting creator. Like he's not a great shooter, don't get me wrong. I mean, if he's wide open, butt naked, open 3-pointer in the corner, he can make them at an okay rate. Not amazingly, but I just wanted it. And excellent second creator under Shea. Kind of do something interesting, and he plays good defense, so why not? And then my last guy, also $3, kind of surprisingly, DeAndre Hunter. Actually, Najee and DeAndre Hunter are both currently on my fantasy team. So is SGA. DeAndre Hunter just clamped down 3, 4, possibly maybe even guard 5. Can hit threes. That was it. That was the last reason for him. So basically, my thought was defense, 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 and then just like at least above water, we're treading water offensively. It was great. And you said not to care about the stats. I'm going to say, because I love my projected net rating is 17.3 per 100, which is like insane. But my lineup synergy rating was not very high at 6.8 compared to yours. Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
lineup.
So obviously we didn't get the draftees. I have a little bit of overlap here. My point guard, my beautiful point guard, who will absolutely shred Drew Holiday
Yeah.
any given day, one-on-one. Steph Curry,
I don't
six
know.
dollars,
Six
$6, man.
dollars for Stephen
That's
Curry is kind of
that's
insane.
that's a bargain.
That
That's
is
a
a bargain.
bargain.
I
I
won't
was
lie.
really surprised you didn't have him. Seven
Defense.
Ducks. I also wanted to get Wemby because of defense.
Yeah.
Both guys, like I wanted to have two guys that can create their own shot, create
Mm-hmm.
unfair advantages in their own right and stuff. So if you want to go all in on Steph Curry at the 3-point line, fine. You'll just miss the rolling Wemby. I don't know how you miss him at 7 feet, just like dunking from the free throw line. So you got
Enormous.
that. Then the rest of the three guys that kind of had like the
What do you
same philosophy that you did.
Seven.
They
Yeah.
were each like $4, but they're guys that have like really good offense potential, really great defensive frame and
Yeah.
ability. Um, Guys that I can swish when I need to and can bother shots. Really happy with who I ended up with. Cameron Johnson, one of my favorite players, just to
Yeah.
watch. Absolute silky smooth jumper. Knows how to play the game. Has high IQ. I'm looking for that when you play a game like with Steph Curry and with Wemby on the defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
Really great player. Trey Murphy, $4. Another like Trey Murphy's one of my favorite players to watch on and off the court. Um, deadly from 3-point range. Has like the same range, close to the same range as Steph Curry as a wing. Crazy
Yeah.
wingspan, like you mentioned. Can carry the offensive load. He's doing that right now with the Pelicans. So he's capable of doing that. He's not a guy you want to leave in the corner wide open ever. Cameron Johnson, same thing. So like if you try to double team Steph, you're getting screwed either way. And if you, for some other reason, if you leave anybody open, wide open, it's Nas Reed,
Yeah.
the last guy I picked with $4. Great defender. He's bothered Jokic so much. That's all I need at this point. And a 3-point sniper, clutch
True.
player. Like he's had countless shots. Like if he's the worst player on this team, I feel really great about my chances.
Yeah.
That being said, my projected net rating was 15.5. I highly disagree with how this lineup works together and can absolutely dismantle what you have going. I was really happy with the synergy rating of 8.5.
Yeah.
There's a lot of chemistry that I can see happen with this lineup. I'm really happy that I built this.
Yeah. It's definitely an interesting lineup. I like the size. I mean, you really don't have you don't have another guard per se. Like Trey Murphy has those guard skills. You can even say Cam Johnson and Nas Reed and even Victor Wembanyama. All those guys can handle the ball as well. But it's definitely I like the lineup. I was too locked in on positions on regular positions. So that might be my downfall. But I don't know, man. Obviously, all four of your other guys besides Steph. Steph is a reasonable defender, but there are matchups where he might not be apt, right? Not be the best guy. So that was one thing I just in my perfect world, all five guys can guard at least 1 through 4. Obviously, your center 2 through 5 maybe, and you just switch everything. You're just like, oh, you screen me, I'm here. Screen me, I'm still here. And it's just that to me is just basketball nirvana, and that's like what I would do on like my NBA 2K my teams. Just get a bunch of switchable dudes, defense clamp down, fast break. You get the lobs, you get corner threes in transition. Just defense, man.
Why get the lobs in transition when you can get the lob to Wemby whenever you want?
This is true. I mean, I have one beat too. So yeah, this is an interesting one. I'm like we said, we want to do more of this trivia games. I literally do the I called game and hoop grids like every day at work. Like if I don't do it on a work day, I'm like, wow, that's very
You get
surprising.
way too bored at work, way too often, man.
I just love ball. That's all I can say.
I agree, man.
Yeah.
I got so many fun moves where I'm like, I finally got the Jordan Poole like push cross like down,
Oh yeah, that's
and I got
nice.
the counter to it too, where you do like the push cross, and then like after the second after you put that dribble down, you spin off of that into the layup.
Ooh,
So filthy, dude. Absolutely
that's kind of
filthy.
sick. Yeah, I'm trying to work on my finishing moves. Low
So
pickups.
I got that and like the heavy step locked
Yeah,
down,
the
like
heavy stuff.
good
I like
counters. So
that. But yeah, it's good, man.
next thing
All
I
that
gotta figure out my scissor step. The scissor step is really hard to do. I can't do
that
that
one's
yet.
kind of insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hoop season now. So
It's
instead of
getting
going
warm.
on the Peloton every day, I'm hooping every day. Enjoying
Yep.
it. Hopefully not bricking every shot and turning the ball over tomorrow run. So we'll see how that goes.
Good luck, man.
Appreciate it, my guy. Well, that's it for us. Continue to watch some meaningful basketball this evening. We have a couple good games. Mentioned Milwaukee and the Pacers. They're playing right now.
Yep.
And oh wait, no, but not really, because
Well,
you got the Wizards and the Pistons. I think we
Knicks.
know who's winning that one. You got the Nets and the Cavs. The Nets are up by 9 right now on the Cavs, so maybe the
That's
Lakers
something to
game wasn't a
watch.
fluke. And then you got the Kawhi buzzer beating Clippers facing the Pelicans. That was an if you haven't seen the Kings and the Clippers highlight, please do,
Yeah.
Diego.
I need to watch the highlights. I just watched the
That was
last.
insane. The last 4 minutes is insane.
Yeah. Interesting.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. And if you get tired of NBA basketball, I don't know how, but it's champs week. All of the serious Big Five, Power Five conferences are having their championship tournaments this week. Big one to look out for. Big Ten. Illini get one game by. Start playing on Thursday at 6:30 Eastern time. It's kind of insane, but that's how things go, I guess. So yeah, March is coming. That's all I have to say. Lock
They
in your
got nothing on
brackets.
Rutgers, man. They got nothing on Rutgers.
Rutgers or Schmidt. Very surprisingly though, because they have Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey, who I'll definitely talk about whenever we talk about the draft.
Hey, I mean, they're top 5, man. We should be a lot better than we are
I don't know about that one, but we'll see.
right
We'll see. I'm
now.
excited.
Alrighty, guys. That's it for us. You can follow us at amon.a.mission.
Yep.
And then our
Boom.
YouTube channel is Amon Mission. Be sure to like, subscribe, and stay connected for more deets. We'll see you next week. Adios, amigos.
See ya.
Oh no, you forgot it. You got it. You can't end the episode on this.
There we go.
There we go. All right.
See you.
See you
Was supposed
guys.
to replace it.